Hello and welcome to WION Live broadcast from Washington, D.C. I'm Simon Marks, and these are the top stories of the hour.
Some 100,000 Russian soldiers near Ukraine's borders, and in that sense, the threat to Ukraine is unprecedented.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken provides assurances to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky of Washington's commitment to Ukraine's territorial integrity amid ongoing fears of a possible Russian invasion. French President Emmanuel Macron stresses the need for a new European security framework and for Europeans to rearm themselves in the face of Russia's military moves on the continent's doorstep. The New York Attorney General says her investigation into Donald Trump's business empire has uncovered evidence suggesting the fraudulent valuing of multiple assets and the misrepresentation of those values for economic benefit. In a relief for aviation firms, US telecom giants AT&T and Verizon have agreed to suspend temporarily the use of some 5G wireless towers near key airports. A report by a cybersecurity watchdog is warning that an app which all attendees of the upcoming Beijing Olympics must use has encryption flaws that could allow personal information to leak. And the United Nations confirms that the past 7 years have been the hottest on record, adding that last year temperatures remained high despite the cooling effects of the La Niña weather phenomenon. We begin again today with the latest on the growing crisis over Ukraine. A flurry of diplomatic activity over the last 3 weeks has so far failed to resolve escalating tensions that have put Russia, the US and its NATO allies in uncharted post-Cold War territory. Today, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Kyiv to meet the Ukrainian president and other top officials there, as the West fears what it calls a Russian invasion is still on the cards. The Secretary of State again urged Russian President Vladimir Putin to choose the path of de-escalation.
We know that there are plans in place to increase that force even more on very short notice, and that gives President Putin the capacity, also on very short notice, to take further aggressive action against Ukraine. And I strongly, strongly hope that we can keep this on a diplomatic and peaceful path, but ultimately that's going to be President Putin's decision.
Ukraine's President Zelensky thanked the United States for help during what he called difficult times. He also stressed the importance of US military aid, especially as that buildup of Russian forces continues at the border. But Russia says the US weapons deliveries are in fact themselves the cause of rising tensions over Ukraine.
The last thing that you need is another visitor. Because I think
This support not only speaks to our strategic plans of Ukraine joining the alliance, but more importantly to the level of our military supplies. Yes, we allocate the largest amounts for the military budget since gaining independence, but we still understand that if we want dramatically fast steps in modernizing the military, we need help, especially in these tough times.
Blinken's trip will also take him to Berlin for meetings with European allies, four-way talks with Britain, France and Germany. Then he'll head to Geneva for a meeting with his Russian counterpart, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Talks last week in Geneva, Brussels and Vienna failed entirely to derail the crisis. Russia continues to insist its demands must be taken seriously. They include sweeping security guarantees and a permanent ban on Ukrainian membership of NATO, something the US calls a non-starter. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says that there will be no further negotiations until the West delivers written answers to Russia's demands. Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron told the European Parliament that the EU must work on a new stability and security deal, one that they could then discuss with Russia. Macron says that Europeans need to rearm themselves, especially in the face of conflict on the continent's doorstep. Meanwhile, Turkey, another NATO member, is now trying to defuse the soaring tensions. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan will visit Ukraine within the next 2 weeks. Turkey had angered Moscow by supplying Kiev with combat drones. The Kremlin has rejected Erdogan's past offers of mediation because of those lingering tensions. With tens of thousands of Russian troops massed on the Ukrainian border, tensions between Moscow and the West have reached a post-Cold War high. For the US and its NATO and European allies, nothing less than a vast pullback of those Russian troops will suffice. Meanwhile, Russia has positioned its troops in Belarus, a longtime ally and another former Soviet territory. The two nations will hold previously unannounced military drills next month, a development that has made the United States even more nervous.
Russia and Belarus will rehearse repelling an external attack when they hold joint military drills in Belarus next month, both sides said on Tuesday. It comes at a time of acute tensions with the West over neighbouring Ukraine. Russian military forces and hardware began arriving in ex-Soviet Belarus on Monday for the drills to be held near Belarus's western border with NATO members Poland and Lithuania. The West has voiced fears of a possible invasion of Ukraine by tens of thousands of Russian troops gathered near its border. Russia has denied such plans. Deputy Russian Defense Minister Alexander Fomin said 12 fighter jets, 2 units of an anti-aircraft missile system and a Pantsir missile system will be deployed to Belarus for the drills. Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko, a pariah in the West since a post-election crackdown in 2020 and last year's migrant crisis with the European Union, said the drills were needed as Ukraine had built up troops near Belarus.
Back in the United States, New York City has organised a remembrance vigil for Michelle Go, the 40-year-old woman who was shoved into the path of an oncoming train in Times Square. Thousands of people gathered for the vigil and to denounce the rise of anti-Asian violence in the United States. The vigil was held at the Red Steps, a Times Square landmark. It was organised by Asians Fighting Injustice. The group demands that City Hall set up an Asian American task force to address ongoing concerns over anti-Asian violence. The New York City Mayor, Eric Adams, only sworn in on New Year's Eve, also attended the vigil.
The death of Michelle ripped at my heart. To see what happened to her and to see what has happened in our city months after month, or what has happened to the AAPI community, and sitting in meetings and meeting family members and seniors and elders who are afraid to walk the street, afraid to do the daily interactions that they've done so many years in this great city. I'm recommitted to ensure that this will not happen in our city. We have to do this together.
Michelle Goh, who was an executive with consulting firm Deloitte, died on Saturday after a stranger pushed her in front of an oncoming train inside the Times Square subway station. 61-year-old suspect Simon Marshall has been arrested on charges of second-degree murder and has publicly claimed that he is God. The incident has not been deemed a hate crime by the New York Police Department, but local Asian communities question that, noting an increase in attacks against Asian Americans since the COVID-19 pandemic emerged in 2020.
Sadly, in New York City, in 2020, while everybody was quarantining, and hate crimes across the city dropped, hate crimes against the AAPI community rose by 800%. In 2021, it rose by 350% at least. And those were just the ones that were recorded by the NYPD.
Now, major international airlines are scrambling to modify or in some cases cancel flights to the United States amid uncertainties over America's rollout of 5G technology. The airlines are expressing concerns about potential interference between 5G towers positioned near American airports and the altimeters that pilots use to land planes safely during difficult weather conditions. The telecom providers have now agreed temporarily to defer turning on some of those wireless towers near key airports in the United States.
In a move to avert a significant disruption to U.S. flights, telecommunication giants AT&T and Verizon on Tuesday agreed to temporarily defer turning on some wireless towers with 5G service near key airports, a third such delay for the two companies. The new C-band 5G wireless service, which was set to begin on Wednesday, threatened to cause massive flight cancellations. The Federal Aviation Administration had warned that potential 5G wireless interference could affect sensitive airplane instruments such as altimeters and significantly hamper low-visibility operations. It was not immediately clear how many towers the wireless companies agreed not to activate. U.S. President Joe Biden hailed the agreement, saying in a statement, quote, "This agreement will avoid potentially devastating disruptions to passenger travel and cargo operations," while White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki called for a lasting solution.
Our objective is, of course, to reach a solution around 5G deployment that maintains the highest level of safety while minimizing disruptions to passenger travel. That's what we're working towards.
It was the third time that AT&T and Verizon agreed to delay deployment of the new C-band 5G wireless service. The chief executives of major U.S. passenger and cargo carriers on Monday said new 5G service could render a significant number of wide-body aircraft unusable, could potentially strand tens of thousands of Americans overseas, and cause chaos for U.S. flights. Now, the FAA and airlines must grapple with how to resolve the concerns permanently. Despite Tuesday's agreement, major foreign carriers, including Air India and Japan's biggest airline, ANA Holdings, said they had canceled some U.S.-bound flights because of possible 5G interference.
Time to catch up now with the latest action at the Australian Open. Defending women's singles champion Naomi Osaka has reached the third round of the tournament. She needed just over an hour to see off American Madison Brengle in the Rod Laver Arena. Osaka hasn't shown any signs of being rusty, despite having barely played competitively since she walked away from the French Open last May. Osaka was ruthless against the world's number 54, crunching 13 winners to none in the first set and winning all but 3 points behind her own serve. Such was her dominance that Brengle raised her arms in relief when she finally held serve at the start of the second set. It gave the American a second wind, and she put Osaka under pressure with the third. Rafael Nadal is playing just his second tournament since the first week of August, but the former world's number one remains very much on course for that record 21st Grand Slam singles title. Nadal breezed into the third round after beating Germany's Yannick Hanfmann in straight sets. 121 ranking places counter between the two at the 2019 French Open, and was soon feeling the full force of Nadal's heavy-duty serve and then the follow-up forehand with plenty of topspin. Nadal broke twice in the first set and saved the 2 break points that Hanfmann earned as he took the opening set. Nadal was made to work much. This game handed Nadal the opportunity to serve out a 2-0 lead. Nadal broke early in the third set and once again didn't face breakpoint on his serve as he coasted to a 6-2, 6-3, 6-4 win in 2 hours and 42 minutes. His fitness levels are improving as the after effects of a COVID infection wear.
I think I am doing things well, things that I can improve. I have to improve if I want to keep going in the tournament. But winning today allow me to practice again tomorrow, to be ready for another match, and after 2 matches is the moment to make a step forward. No, if not going to be impossible, and I'm going to try. No, I am excited about it. I am excited about the fact that I'm going to be playing in a 3rd round for one more time here. After all the things that I'm going through, I don't have big pressure on my shoulders. Honestly, I don't feel it.
Next today, the remarkable story of Tracy Garacoccia. She is a California-based adaptive skateboarder who has found freedom and a passion for sport in her wheelchair.
So the thing about me is I don't really see the coping. So it takes me a little bit to drop in. I need to feel it.
And drop in meaning just?
Meaning you'll see me do a wheelie, and then I bring my back wheels all the way up to this is the coping before I drop in, which is pushing myself into the bowl. So I need to feel it in my body before I can go in. I kept on having the vertigo, and things would happen, like my hands started not functioning well, and I was doing sculpture, and I couldn't hold the tools, and I was dropping them on my feet, and those are really sharp. Finally, I'm diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So your brain does not communicate properly with, let's say, your eyes or your legs or anything else. So the lady whose chair I tried said to me, a wheelchair is just a tool. And that made sense to me. It's just a tool. And when I tell you that it took me probably a half an hour to walk a block, and now I can get around just like everybody else. A wheelchair improved the quality of my life, and it gave me a sport. It is like, I'm going to cry. It just, that moment was one of the best of my life. It feels like you're flying when you do these things without your hands. The sport is actually called wheelchair motocross. These chairs are custom made for the sport. I tend to identify as a skateboarder because for me it's about the community. I picked up skateboarding at age 55. Because you have a wheelchair, it doesn't mean you can't do an extreme sport. I just want people to see when I'm out there that this is possible. And it's possible at 17, it's possible at 20, it's possible at 30, and darn it, it's possible at 60. Go, Charlie, go! Woo! Come on, get that tile! Oh, this is a girls' skate day. Wow. It's a girls' skate session. The women who started it, Anna and Sandy, asked if I would come, and it's like I just fell in love because I love kids. I wasn't able to have them, so I feel like every kid in the world is mine, and that's boys and girls. But the girls are special. As girls, well, I can only speak from my experience. I was told, you know, you don't get dirty, you don't do this, you don't do that, but I was the kind of girl who did. And nowadays, girls are not only allowed to come out and shred, but they're also allowed to be beautiful doing it. And we can get hurt, and we can do extreme sports, and we can still be beautiful at the end of the day. These girls need somebody besides their parents to tell them how awesome they are, and to be by their side, and just love on them. And I feel like I'm kind of a grandma figure, you know, the old lady in the wheelchair at the skate park. So you know how when you stand at the top of things, they look really big? Like when you were standing at the top of the big bowl and you didn't want to go in. So anytime you think that something is way over your head, it's because you're looking at it from a different perspective. Sometimes it's like in life, you look at things from a different perspective. You come down to the bottom of it and look up and you think, look, it's probably your height. It's maybe what? A couple inches over your head? Of course, women need to help women. Girls need to start helping girls, and we need to do it at a young age. And me just kind of being here and kind of being out in the field and asking one girl to help another is how it starts. And then you see them later on helping each other. And it becomes pretty magical. Can you stand up? You okay? That was a nice fall, and that was a really good try. I'm proud of you.
Inspiring story, that one. Finally from us today, a winter storm dumped nearly 2 feet of snow in parts of Ontario up in Canada. Waterfalls froze, dogs had fun eating snow as the bout of extreme weather led to traffic jams and flight cancellations. We're going to leave you today with some of the moments captured on video during the storm. Thanks for watching WION Live broadcast from Washington, D.C. I'll see you again soon.
Many other. This is right, Arab.